Hey guys, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is Blind Assassin, MGTOW. What's up? Yep. Show you like a few videos, if you will. Uh, just a random live. Um, I got some videos to show you. But I'm gonna show you one in Vegas that happened most recently this month, and I'm gonna show you like a couple of cases from late 80s and early 90s. So, very early 90s. So, we're just going to watch this clip and I'm going to show you like my response to it.
Lured the man for sex with the intent to rob him, and during the scheme, he was shot in the head. The case unfolded on July 19th, shortly before 8 p.m., when police responded to a Vegas apartment complex to reports of gunshots. When officers arrived, they found a man lying in the parking lot unresponsive, with blood gushing from his head. Police say they identified the man as 19-year-old Connor Rebelito, who, when authorities found him, was holding a gun with his finger on the trigger. Officials pronounced Connor dead at the scene, and the coroner's office determined his cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the head. During the investigation, a resident in the apartment complex told police she was in her apartment in front of an open window when she saw Connor walking with a woman, when suddenly 3 men ran up and jumped the 19-year-old. The witness recounted all 3 of the men beat Connor, and one of the men had a gun and used it to pistol whip him several times. The witness said the woman stood nearby and did nothing to defuse the situation and ran away once bullets flew. According to police, during the fight, the man who pistol whipped Connor shot him 2 to 3 times. After the shooting, the 3 men ran off in different directions, with one of the men running to the woman who was with Connor. After police were alerted to the suspect's description, a plainclothes Las Vegas Metro PD detective in an unmarked police car went to the apartment complex when she noticed that behind her was a car.
Man, he was about to have a baby? Whoa. He was actually he was about to be a father. Then this turns out, oh God, this is like really unfavorable. Oh my God, no. Bad enough he's about to be a father, but I don't know which is worse, being a father or die. But getting deleted, I guess that's spiritual freedom. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying the wrong words, but let's continue.
Following the same path through the complex. Police say as the detective continued to drive, she noticed a woman and 2 men who matched some of the physical and clothing descriptions of the suspects walk into the parking lot and wave her down as they appeared to.
2 304s and a cent. Why they got like, man, that guy that got deleted, he could have, you know, he could have fun by himself, like worried by himself, like no kids, no wife first and foremost, and no kids, and being overly desperate for, for sex. And I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but fair use, YouTube, fair use. But he was desperate to get sex with 2 women, then he get slaughtered by him. Oh man, this remind me of like Sharon Stone's massacre back in '67. And he kind of favored Marilyn Manson in a way, but except Marilyn Manson had like 2 or 3 women with him. But this one right here, he only had like a couple. So this is kind of like the Sharon Tate massacre 2.0. Let's continue.
to be in a hurry. The detective reportedly realized the group thought she was a rideshare, so she continued driving and saw them enter the car behind her. So police followed the car and detained the occupants, which included 22-year-old Nathan Neva, a family member of his, and 23-year-old Skylar Bailey. Nathan Neva reportedly told police that he and the mother of his child, Skylar Bailey, were hanging out at a friend's place who lived in the complex with some other people when Connor showed up. According to police, Neva claimed two of the men at the apartment said Connor owed them money and wanted to rob him, but Neva claimed not to want to be a part of the plan. Neva claimed that the two men jumped Connor but said he never actually saw a gun. So Neva then asked his relative to send him and Bailey a rideshare to pick them up. When it came to Skylar Bailey's account, she claimed to have met Connor a month before the shooting at a party and reportedly told police she was walking with Connor when the man ran up and jumped him. But when authorities spoke to those who knew Connor, it would lead them to piecing together more clues that would help crack the case. When detectives spoke with Connor's mother and girlfriend, they said on the night of his murder, Connor received a text message and told them he was meeting a friend and would be back in half an hour. And that would be the last time they saw him alive. Investigators also spoke with Connor's co-worker who revealed more. The co-worker told police that Connor was messaging a girl on Instagram by the name of Emily and was waiting to meet up and hook up with her. According to the co-worker, Connor and Emily were supposed to meet on July 16th, but Emily canceled. Then they were supposed to meet on July 18th, the day before.
Building your online business?
For Connor's murder, but Emily canceled after claiming to have gotten a flat tire. But the two would ultimately reschedule for July 19th, the day of Connor's murder. When police searched through Connor's, Nathan Neva's, and Skylar Bailey's phones, they found messages between Bailey and the Emily who Connor was messaging. Authorities confirmed Emily was 20-year-old Emily Rideout, who authorities discovered was Skylar Bailey's sister. When investigators looked through the messages between the sisters, police said it was apparent that Neva and Bailey were going through severe financial difficulties and had been evicted from their home with their children. On July 2nd, Bailey and Rideout texted each other about Connor's Instagram, with Rideout saying, "Okay, already done. Like I unfollowed you and removed you." And Bailey responded, "He got me blocked," and sent a screenshot of Connor's Instagram. On the same day, Rideout sent a screenshot of her conversation with Connor saying, "Only for y'all." And Bailey responded, "We win, you win." Then in another conversation, Rideout asked her sister, "How you know he even gonna have the money on him?" And Bailey responded in part, "He likes to look flashy and show off." Police say from July 2nd to July 16th, there was constant communication between Connor and Emily and Bailey. Authorities say there were even instances where Bailey typed out messages for her sister to copy and send to Connor. Then on the day of the murder, Bailey instructed her sister to no longer reply to Connor because she was going to take over and text him directly from a different number. When police went through the messages between Bailey and Neva, their messages would seemingly show a pattern, as it appeared that Neva had a history of robbing people dating back to 2023. In one of their messages, Neva reportedly said, "I promise this month over, I'm going hard, baby, no more robbing." In a text thread on July 16th, 3 days prior to the murder, Neva texted Bailey asking, "Is he talking to you?" And Bailey responded, "He's checking his messages," as well as, "I love you too, my stomach in knots." The day before the murder, Neva and Bailey were texting each other asking who they could borrow a gun from. Then on the day of the murder, Bailey texted Neva the address where Connor was later killed.
Oh boy. These women about to hit the wall. Definitely in jail. This is a story I have to do in one of my next live reactions. This is going to be pretty cool. But tomorrow I'm about to do the pros and cons of male therapists. But this one right here, these women, if they get life, I'll be happy for it. Because these 304s is definitely did something very unfavorable and basically just hounded dude and deleted him. Man, like just killed him in cold blood. Deleted him, I should say. Ugh, boy, oh boy. This is atrocious.
Police uncovered more messages between Neva and a person under his contacts named Spaz Out, where Neva messaged him, "Bro, can you grab Ka already?" And he trying to link and everything, bro. Police say the messages went on to say he just came back from the casino. And he got bread though, bro. He just came back from the casino. Police say they are still investigating the identity of Spaz Out, but they believe that person is also one of the people who conspired with Neva to rob Connor. Police say they later learned Connor worked at a business that refilled ATMs. While reviewing his Instagram, police noticed he regularly posted photos with large sums of money, which they say was consistent with Bailey's description of Connor being flashy. But when detectives spoke with Connor's manager, he said the manner the money in the post was packed was the same as how the money is packaged before being put into ATMs. Connor's manager told police he previously told him not to post those photos because he could become.
This is actually a valuable lesson to men. Please, please, you gotta like have fun by yourself. Like I said before, stop having bragging rights around people and stop crapping on people that you don't really know, because something might pop out of the forest and bite you in the butt. He was easy prey. Hate to say this, he was a very terrible, easy access, and he was just another. Oh man, just he'll just he'll just bacon, just chopped eggs.
A target for a robbery. Nathan Neva, Skylar Bailey, and Emily Rideout were all arrested and charged with Connor's murder, as they now face charges of open murder, battery with the intent to commit robbery, and conspiracy to commit robbery. All right, we have a lot to break down in this case, so joining me to discuss it further is former prosecutor Melba Pearson. Now, Melba, thank you so much for joining me. To me, it seems like prosecutors may have a lot against the defendants here, especially when it comes to the conspiracy aspect, given it seems all three played a role in this murder. What are your thoughts about this case and about all three kind of playing into this murder as well, too?
Sadly, we've seen cases like this before, where often you'll have a group of people, usually several men and one woman, who would be basically the bait in order to entice someone for the purposes of a promise of a date, a promise of a relationship, and then unfortunately, at the
Man, look at the way they dress. Oh my god, man. And then of course they're probably in their early 20s. They look like it. And this is Las Vegas. They call it Sin City for a reason. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But
time of their date, the person ends up being robbed. And of course, when you plan a robbery, lots of things get out of hand very quickly because you don't account for the adrenaline, you don't account for the reaction of the person, you don't react to how slowly the person may pull out their wallet or how quickly, or maybe they don't have money on them. So when all of those things come into play, it's very easy for what was supposed to be a simple quote unquote robbery end up escalating to the point of homicide. And so, incredibly tragic as this is, it is not that uncommon. But clearly, the defendants have given the prosecution a great deal in terms of the text messages. I mean, there's a treasure trove of information in terms of their planning, in terms of even one of the defendants feeling nervous and that they're only doing this because they have love for this person and that sort of thing. So there's going to be an uphill battle for the defense to try and say, well, they didn't know what was going to happen. The only argument I could see could possibly be for the one defendant that actually.
yeah, talk about being an escort, taking on an acid trip. Well, seems like the suspect's wife is going to be a widower. No, widow, or if she's not married. But that kid's going to be fatherless.
Served as bait, saying, well, I didn't know a homicide was going to occur. I only signed up for a robbery. But again, that's not the best defense because of the fact that you have agreed to commit a felony. And if a death results in the course of that felony being committed, you are now on the hook for the homicide as what we call a principal, the same way as the person who pulled the trigger.
And investigators noted that Nathan Nava and Skylar Bailey were experiencing financial hardships. Do you think they intended to set up this robbery truly just for the money? And if so, why do you think Skylar allegedly dragged her sister into it? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, how much money did they truly believe they'd be able to take from the victim?
Well, I think there were a few things that came into play here. The victim had a job refilling ATM machines and apparently would post on social media photos of him doing his work. He at the time had said it was more so to show how the money was packaged and sort of the day-to-day in the job. But unfortunately, as his supervisor had indicated previously, this is the type of thing that opens you up to be a victim. So of course, it is not his fault. He didn't ask for it, but that those sorts of posts made him a target. So I think there was definitely the money option, the money concerns drove this. I think she probably brought her sister in because of the fact that, whatever relationship she had with the other defendant, she may have thought her sister would have been more appropriate to be that bait, so to speak, in order to entice the victim to his robbery and eventually death. So I think money was the driving factor. I just think that they lost control of the situation once they got there, and it resulted in a homicide.
And now all three defendants have been charged with open murder in addition to the other charges. What is the difference between that charge, open murder, as opposed to a first degree or a second degree murder?
So in Nevada, they have a very unique statute which allows for a prosecutor to charge open murder. And what that means is that it leaves it up to the jury to decide what level of murder occurred. So the jury could come back and say this was first degree premeditated murder. They could come back and say, no, this was more of a second degree murder, or this was more of a manslaughter. So it's an interesting way of presenting the facts to the jury and letting them decide what the intent was. Was there sufficient intent to substantiate a first degree murder, or was this really just a second degree murder, or was this just basically part of some other thought process based on the evidence that was brought forth. So I think that's incredibly interesting because normally you see prosecutors like to be able to at least say, we have enough for first degree murder. And then what normally you would see happen is that they would have what they would call a lesser included offenses. So that gives the jury the opportunity to say, well, you charge this as a first degree murder, but we don't know that you've met that burden, but you've given us the lesser included offenses of second degree murder and manslaughter. So it's, I guess, accomplishing the same thing, but just in a different way. Basically, the prosecutor is saying up front, pick which one, as opposed to the prosecutor coming in and saying, I think it's this, but giving the jury the option to downgrade if they think it's appropriate based on the evidence.
And given the facts of the case that we know right now, do you think it's possible that maybe one defendant, if the case goes to trial, if a jury convicts the defendants in this case, do you think it's possible that jurors could convict maybe one defendant on first degree, another defendant on second degree, and potentially the other one on manslaughter? Do you think that's possible in this case?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but I don't think it's likely because of the fact that they all seem to be so deeply intertwined in the planning based on the text messages, and that they all sort of came to the table with a common understanding of what was going to happen that night. While nobody may have necessarily planned for murder, at the same token, they planned to get a firearm, and all parties knew that a gun was involved. So it is.
For a cleaner, more sustainable future, America's plastic makers are investing billions of dollars to
a very logical next step that you're bringing a gun to a robbery, there is the possibility someone may get shot or killed. So I don't necessarily see a difference in the culpability per se, except for the fact of who actually pulled the trigger versus the other two in their planning. But I don't see that there'll be much daylight in between the level of convictions, if there is a conviction in this case, the level of convictions between all of the defendants involved.
And the way in which the victim died in this case was truly horrible. But in the arrest report, police noted that the victim was found dead holding a gun with his finger on the trigger. Do you think that a defense attorney could argue that any of the defendants felt that their life was in danger, given that, potentially the victim may have had a weapon as well, too, with the finger on the trigger, and maybe given they set up this robbery scheme and lured this victim to this apartment complex, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that any
Yeah, you gotta leave these alley cat 304s alone. They are for the streets, like literally. From belly button piercings to like tattoos. Stay away from women who likes to like take a risk, whether it's sexually, physically, you know, mentally, because these women don't have no sense of direction. They are brainless human beings, very brainless. Why are we dealing with women who are like just a ticking time bomb or unpredictable? Do we like to stick our flesh rock into abnormal women? I do not understand. And why do we encourage chaos in the world? Oh yeah, Sims are a huge contributor to it. That's why you have like kids filling up space. No offense, but man, sometimes you gotta leave women alone and live the life the way you want to live. If having a kid and being a father is really important to you, then that is your personal motivation. Otherwise, you gotta maintain your personal freedom.
defense attorney could argue that because the victim had a weapon as well, too, that maybe the defendants in a way felt their life was in danger?
Well, the thing that comes to mind is the old adage, don't start none, won't be none. And so to translate that into legalese, you can't claim stand your ground or self defense protections if you were the instigator of the situation. So if you started the fight or if you started in some sort of criminal conduct and now you're confronted with deadly force, you can't say, well, I had to shoot my victim because they weren't complying with my illegal requests, right? So I don't see a scenario where the defense can make an issue out of that. They will try, but I don't see an avenue where they can do so successfully based on the fact that the victim was protecting themselves against the wrongful actions of the defendant. And it just, unfortunately, in this scenario, the victim was not able to effectively protect themselves.
And it seems as though
Well, of
there were a
course.
lot of different hands beyond the three that were arrested and charged so far. But do you expect more arrests to come in this case? And if so, do you expect them to be charged with open murder as well, even if they weren't physically there, but just communicating with the defendants through texting?
I think it's possible that more arrests can result, but I don't necessarily see anyone else being charged with open murder. Because, for instance, I'm thinking of the person that provided the gun for this to all happen. Did they know what they were providing the gun for? Is all going to bear out based on the text messages. It might be just very cryptic, like, "Hey, we're just gonna, I need it for protection," or I'm gonna do something. Don't ask questions. Okay, the person turns over the gun. They shouldn't necessarily be responsible for murder because they didn't know that that was what the plan was. And so they may be charged with some other firearms offenses, but I don't know that they'd necessarily be charged with murder. Now, if there's other people that played a more active role in the planning or maybe try to help them in the aftermath, maybe dispose of evidence or something along those lines, again, I could see more charges resulting from that. But again, how much did they know and when did they know it are going to be the key questions in determining what level of charge is going to be filed.
And Melba, do you expect this case to even go to trial? And if so, do you think that it's possible? We have three defendants here who could be co-defendants all in this case together, but do you see any of them maybe flipping on one another, especially given the two of them are half sisters?
I definitely see this case, or at least several of the defendants, pleading out. I don't see a scenario where all three are going to want to go to trial on this. Now, do I see sister turning against sister? It's possible. When it comes to rushing to the courthouse steps, the adage of blood being thicker than water kind of goes out the window with that. However, I could see both of the sisters maybe turning on the boyfriend, on the male defendant, on the shooter in this case, because again, they can sort of
Yeah, of course. Charles Manson 2.0 has every contribution to trying to kill somebody. This is really insane, man. Like, so basically, they're not gonna snitch on each other, knowing like they didn't know the critical consequences. Think they're gonna get away with it. Absolutely
pin him
insane.
as the mastermind and say, well, we just had to agree, or we felt that, it was just easier to go along with it, whatever the case may be. But I could see a scenario where they end up testifying against him.
All right, Melba. Well, thank you so much for giving me your insight into this case. Before we sign you off, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, just that again, it's something to think about in terms of vetting whoever you're going to go out on a date with, or whoever you're going to meet up with. Again, that idea of meeting for that first date in a public place, and always having your wits about you and making sure you're in a familiar area. So if you have to flee, that how to be able to get in and out of the area that you're in. So again, it's just about having that common sense and safety when it comes to dating or interacting with, various people as we go through life. It's a sad reality, but that's where we are.
At this time, all three remain in custody. According to online court records, the trio are all scheduled to appear in court on September 17th for a preliminary hearing. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
Well, we're gonna go to the next video, and this is like way before our time. This is back in October 23rd of 1989, so prior to Halloween. Ugh. And this case was like utterly nasty. So YouTube, fair use. This is not my video, and I do not claim it, nor did I originally upload this. Well, let's go. Hey, you guys, this is gonna be like a plot twist in the end. So it's just, I don't know, it's funny, but I have a dark sense of humor. Wow, man. Of course, it is like a black person. This is about to get real funny. I can't really take this seriously anymore. Yeah, in Boston, known for being racist, out of all ethnicities, they had to pick black people as usual. Nothing really new. Nothing new then, nothing new now. So, what's even special about like being a black person being in a white neighborhood if that take place in that particular area when he allegedly got slain or his wife got slain and somehow he survived and he went to the funeral. Very, very interesting. But I was starting to laugh at this. You have to hear more about this story. It's real hilarious. Hold on, wait.
Terrorized by a gang member. Demands to reinstate the death penalty began. Boston's stop and frisk policy allows cops to legally detain anybody they believe might be a reasonable suspect in a crime. In this case, it became an excuse to stop and harass hundreds black men. Over a 4-day period, 150 homes were searched every single day, for no other reason than that they were owned by black citizens. Teenagers were brought into the police station for questioning and leaned on hard, often with threats of
Yeah, black teenagers. Black teenagers. Like, this is crazy. You really hearing this? It's like how now police really want to infiltrate black communities or even teens that actually have the nerve to kill basically a newlywed. I mean, to be honest, like teens don't even think that way. I mean, we don't even start nothing like with white people, but I'm not trying to get into race bait, but point is that it is like really silly and really a waste of time to like figure out who murdered, you know, his wife, or delete his wife, I should say. But come on now, like black teens out of all age groups, like it's really insane, very unreal.
Of retribution if they didn't talk. Young black men were stopped on the street and stripped to the skin so officers could search their trousers and underwear. Tito Jackson, who years later would become a Boston city councilor, was stopped and forced to drop his pants on the street 5 times because
Whoa.
he was told he looked like the perpetrator in the Carol Stewart case.
Whoa.
It's hard to believe that that could have been true because at the time he was 14 years old. Frederick
Yeah.
Johnson was a resident of the predominantly
Fucking
black
stupid.
Roxbury neighborhood. He told the Washington Post about a time he was walking home from work and witnessed a group of at least 30 black men of various ages lying on the ground stripped naked with their arms handcuffed behind their backs. They were
Yeah, so tell me they just infiltrate like black communities and stuff. Like just to prove a point. I do not understand. Like, why are they lying on the ground like with no clothes on? And police are just standing there, just looking stupid. I don't know, man. It's just I don't know, a really strange fetish. And of course, gonna go to Roxbury because yes, it is a bad neighborhood. I agree. You have drug dealers and you know, people murderers and stuff, and robberies that's occurring and stuff. But man, like it, I know like the boys from like then. I know now they're really traumatized by how they affected them, like being on the ground and they didn't do anything. It's okay. It's like one black person who has a raspy voice allegedly killed a couple. Just one black person, and every police officer that's like non-black is just infiltrating the black community, which is sad, and it's a joke at the same time.
hauled away one by one. Johnson wanted to complain, but knew that under the rules of stop and frisk, nothing the police were doing was technically illegal. As more and more doors were kicked in, and as more and more black men were harassed, stripped, arrested, and brought in for questioning, not everyone in the community was okay with what they were seeing. City Councilor David Scondras said at the time, "You can't help but wonder if what you're watching is a class situation, that it's all right for the poor to put up with an enormous amount of shootings and killings, but presumably if you're a white, upper income, and suburban, maybe that changes things. That's sad." Police arrested 2 different suspects for the murder of Carol Stewart. The first was never identified before being released. The second was arrested because he was found living in an abandoned building with a black tracksuit soaking in the sink, no red stripe, and no other evidence. Such was the hysteria around the case that this suspect, Alan Swanson, was kept apart from other prisoners in case they attacked him. He did not eat in prison because the guards spat in his food. He struggled to sleep as they ran truncheons over his cell doors to keep him awake. Nevertheless, with no actual evidence available, he was eventually released. Police soon got a young black teenager into custody. As they had many times already, they intimidated him into making a statement. The teenager said he had heard his uncle Willie Bennett brag about committing the crime. The teenager immediately recanted his statement, but police arrested Willie Bennett when they found that he matched the perpetrator's description. 6 feet tall, in his mid-30s, with a raspy voice. When put in a police lineup, Chuck Stewart identified him as looking like the man who shot my wife. Willie Bennett was arrested. Shortly after Willie Bennett's arrest, there was a shocking twist in the case. Charles Stewart's brother Matthew, who had carried Carol's casket at her funeral, came to the police with a confession. The night that Carol was shot, Charles Stewart had paid his brother $10,000 to do him a favor. All Matthew had to do was meet Charles at a predetermined location where the car would be stopped after the birthing class. When Matthew approached the car that night, Charles tossed him Carol's purse, her jewelry, and the gun used to shoot the couple. Matthew took all of it and threw it in the river. In other words, there was no black man in the car that night. Charles Stewart had made
See, that's the plot twist of it. there was no, there was like no black person that was involved in the murder. See, like the accusations are spirit clown world, dude. Total clown world. Like having cases like this is preposterous, but white people they still gonna think a black man did it and blah blah blah. People gonna still hold on to that useless and fabricated, theory. Like, well, black like a black person did it, but yeah, I'm just laughing at it. I can't really take this seriously. I really can't.
made a plan ahead of time to kill his wife. He shot himself in the side in order to cover up the crime and paid his brother to destroy the evidence. The 13 minutes that it took Charles Stewart to tell the 911 dispatchers where he was located was not the result of blood loss or trauma. He was waiting to make sure his wife would die. Matthew said that he wasn't able to keep quiet after learning that Willie Bennett, an innocent man, was going to prison for the crime.
What he's told me was that he found it difficult to believe that his brother had been robbed by the person subsequently charged on Mission Hill that evening when the items claimed to have been taken in the robbery were in the bag, which was tossed to him by his brother Chuck on the evening of October 23rd, 1989.
Just hours after his brother went to the police, Stewart's new car, purchased with his wife's life insurance payout, was found abandoned at the Tobin Bridge. A note inside the car read in part, "My life has been nothing but a battle for the last 4 months. Whatever this new accusation is, it has beaten me. I've been sapped of my strength." The body of Charles Stewart was soon fished from the Mystic River. After his death, police began to truly investigate Charles Stewart for the first time. They found that he had taken out several life insurance policies on Carol shortly before her death. He had also been caught on camera in a jewelry store buying a gift for a secret girlfriend. It was also revealed that Charles asked another one of his brothers, Michael, who also carried Carol's casket at the funeral, for help killing his wife mere weeks before the murder. Michael later explained that he didn't think his brother had been serious. On January 12th, in front of a grand jury, a close friend of Charles named David McLean recalled a dinner that he had had with Charles a month before Carol's death. As they ate at a restaurant, Charles told David that his wife seemed to have the upper hand in the marriage, and had refused.
You hearing this? You hearing this? His wife has all the control in the marriage. His wife get to do anything, and she can actually delete the baby. Oh man! Then he killed because he refused abortion. Then why did you marry her? Then why would you marry her? Like really, you could have. Like you should have known like how her mindset was. It's like like this narcissistic personality. It's like you have all the expectations coming to reality, but this reality is really dark, and it opens up a can of worms when it comes to abortion. This abortion stuff is not a joke. He didn't want that baby to be deleted, but either way, you killed her. You delete her, and you actually delete the baby too, technically. So,
To get an abortion. Charles was unhappy about the baby and was worried that Carol wouldn't go back to work after the birth, leaving them with less income. McLean claims that Charles then asked for help killing his wife, making him at least the third person that Charles had approached for help in the murder. Criticism of the investigation and the aggressive racial profiling carried out by police was swift.
The case did not go forward in the manner that it should. They were too preoccupied with the story that
that's where a dude like Terrence Howard, bro. I'm sorry. He was like Terrence Howard.
Charles Stewart gave, which is now a total fabrication, and because of that, hundreds of black males were harassed.
Chuck Turner, a community organizer, told Jet magazine, "Black people in particular have to look at it and wonder what hope do we have for justice in a country that took this man's lie and made him and his family a symbol of national mourning." The Attorney General's office was brought in to investigate allegations that during the Carol Stewart case, police officers coerced witness statements and performed illegal searches.
The most disturbing findings are those of public strip searches. There is no excuse for forcing young men to lower their trousers or for a police officer to search inside their underwear on public streets and hallways. That practice must be condemned in the strongest possible terms.
In April 2000, Willie Bennett told the Boston Globe that the Stewart case still haunts him. He stated, "I don't trust anybody. I barely trust myself. The police falsely pinned a crime on me once and they can do it again. I have no faith in the law enforcement and I don't like cops. Nothing has changed. You still have the same racist cops on the police force." If there is one bright spot in this story, it is the fact that in 1990, Carol Stewart's parents established the Carol DeMatteis Stewart Foundation on behalf of their beloved daughter. For 25 years, the foundation financed college students from Mission Hill, one of the neighborhoods most heavily terrorized by police during the investigation.
She was truly the brightest of lights in our lives, a light that never go out in our minds. She will always and forever be with us. Mere words cannot express the terrible emptiness we feel or how much we miss her now. We pray that God has taken her and our beloved.
Well, not only your daughter's gone, your granddaughter is gone too. Either way, she was about to abort the kid. But your son-in-law took care of it. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
With grandson Christopher into his embrace in heaven, where they will be safe and happy with him until the time we will join them.
In Boston, it is still legal for police to stop and search citizens without any evidence of wrongdoing. In 2019, Black residents make up only 25% of the city's population, and they were the target of 69% of the city's stop and frisks. Thank you for watching Beyond Crime. If you enjoyed this episode...
Okay. That. So we're going to go on to this one right here. All right, YouTube fair use. And after this, we're going to do open discussion and tell about like directions of the video. And we'll take it from there and we'll bounce. All right, fair use, YouTube, fair use.
When I think of mass killings carried out in the USA, there are some incidents that immediately spring to mind. For example, the McDonald's massacre, Columbine, Virginia Tech, and Luby's Diner. These are all events which at the time shocked and outraged America, and the names of the perpetrators of these crimes live on in infamy. James Huberty, Harris and Klebold, Seung-Hui Cho and George Hennard. Between them, these killers took 90 innocent lives. And yet, if I told you that there was a man who, in one go, killed almost as many people, you'd imagine that you'd probably know this guy's name. But in fact, most people have never heard of Julio Gonzalez. And maybe that's because instead of using a gun, Gonzalez's weapon of choice was an empty oil can filled with $1's worth of gas. The Happyland Social Club was an informal, that's to say unlicensed, nightclub. It was on the second floor of a fairly run-down building located on Southern Boulevard, East Tremont, which is a mostly residential neighbourhood of the Bronx. On the night of the 25th of March 1990, Happyland was packed, with a young crowd of mostly Honduran immigrants celebrating the annual carnival. However, one man wasn't joining in with the party spirit. 36-year-old Julio Gonzalez, he was too busy having a heated argument with his ex-girlfriend of 6 years, Lydia Feliciano. Gonzalez had arrived into the US 10 years earlier during an event known as the Mariel Boat Lift, when large numbers of Cuban citizens who had claimed asylum in the Peruvian embassy in Havana were given the chance to leave Cuba and make new lives in the United States. In total, there were around 125,000 Cubans who fled the Castro regime during the Mariel Boat Lift. Apparently, old Fidel decided to take advantage of this unprecedented exodus to get rid of a bunch of unwanted prisoners from the overcrowded Cuban prisons. They would just send them off on the boats along with the genuine asylum seekers. Now, Gonzalez had already been in prison for 3 years for deserting from the Cuban army, and he was more than happy with the opportunity to jump on a boat and start a new life in the US. So he forged a document giving himself a criminal record as a drug dealer, and he was promptly packed off to the United States by the Cuban authorities. Having arrived, he moved to New York and found work packing boxes in a lamp factory in Queens. This was a job that he held down for nearly 10 years, but he lost it in early 1990. By March of 1990, he was behind on his rent, he was unemployed, and his girlfriend had dumped him. And so it was an angry and bitter man who made his way to the Happyland Social Club that night. Once there, Gonzalez spent most of the night getting drunk and arguing with his ex-girlfriend, Lydia Feliciano, who was working as the coat check girl that night. Having failed to convince her to quit her job and go home with him, Gonzalez became increasingly angry, shouting that if he couldn't have her, then no one would. He was eventually
Sim culture, bro. Total sim culture. He could have a new job, and if she wanted to break up with him, so be it. I don't know why he wanted to be in a relationship anyway. This is not a good time to act out and be in total infuriation when you have options. Us men are not known to have and be enslaved with our emotions. We have to be mitigate the destructive thoughts we have in our mind. So having that type of mindset will not resolve anything, especially what he's about to do sooner in that particular event.
thrown out of the club at around 3 o'clock in the morning. Drunk, angry, and feeling belittled, Gonzalez yelled that he would be back to settle the score before stumbling off into the night. As he slouched home, he spotted an empty oil container lying on the ground, and then a thought occurred to him, a terrible thought. Right, he would show her. He would teach all of them not to mess with him. He picked up the can, and he wandered over to the local Amoco gas station where he asked for $1 worth of gasoline. College freshman Edward Porras was working his first night shift at the Amoco station, and he wasn't happy about selling that fuel to Gonzalez. Now, Gonzalez had said he needed it for his car, which had run out of gas, but something seemed off about the guy and his story. Unfortunately, a guy walking past right then recognised Gonzalez and then vouched for him, telling Porras that Gonzalez was a good guy, he's alright. And with those fateful words, Gonzalez got his dollar's worth of gas and went back to the Happyland Social Club. Now, the Happyland Club had already been ordered to close down due to numerous safety violations. These included a lack of smoke alarms, there was no sprinkler system, no emergency lighting, and there were no emergency exits.
Yep, that's the part of the contribution of why those people got slain, because of those. And in order to have that, you're supposed to have like I forgot what it's called, but you're supposed to like have those type of things in there in order to keep your business going. Because if these type of events happen like that, they can die, which actually happened inside this the club.
In fact, the entire upper floor had been constructed illegally, with just the rickety wooden staircase leading to it as the only means of entry or exit. Although initially ordered to close down in November 1988 and with the owner facing eviction, the club had somehow remained open, without any apparent repercussions from the local authorities. And now, packed into this small, crowded space that had no exits, there were 93 young people just trying to have a good time. When Gonzalez got back to the club at 3:30, almost everyone was upstairs, still dancing and drinking. With no one around to stop him, he splashed the gasoline over the wooden stairs and the entranceway before stepping back, lighting 2 matches and tossing them into the gas-soaked doorway. He then walked across the street to watch as the club was engulfed in flame. The single stairway acted as a chimney, funneling the flame and the smoke straight upstairs. There was almost no time to react. The toxic smoke began choking and blinding the patrons. Some were overcome so quickly that they were later found still sitting at the tables, some even still had their drinks in their hands. The only way out was the staircase, and that was completely ablaze. With nowhere to run, people sank to the floor in a last-ditch effort to find oxygen. By the time the fire engines arrived on scene just 10 minutes later, it was already all over. 87 people were dead.
87 people died. 80 people have been deleted by that fire. That is like almost 100 people. 100 people. He almost exterminated like 100 people inside that club. Guys, I'm telling you, it's bad enough clubs are, pretty problematic and difficult to congregate, of course. But that's like the least place to enjoy because, social interaction is like really false. Maybe this club was, joyful and like bringing people together. But to destroy, people's lives and like, apply so much carnage, you know, that's gonna like break people's hearts. That's gonna like, have like family members like that's somebody's daughter, somebody's aunt. I hate to say this, but brother and sister-in-law and cousins and nieces and uncles, you know, you're gonna pay like a serious debt to society, man. That's even like somebody's mom in there, man. Like, and this was like in March of 1990. So imagine, celebrating like Father's Day and I hate to say this, like Mother's Day and so many events that are like, well, I won't say events, but holidays that are like ahead of you, and like you don't have that person anymore. You know what I mean? Like yeah, it's, I don't know, it's just, it can darken a person's soul forever, man. Like, memories still there, bad and good, but this is like a whole lot worse, and that can be a nightmare to, I won't say reunite, but to be like relived. And whether you participate in that, massacre or that incident, you know, that's the case. And like, they are grateful they lived another day. But man, that can actually darken a person's spirit like this. Let's go. Let's continue.
All of them from asphyxiation due to smoke inhalation. Firefighter Dennis Devlin, one of the first on the scene, remembered the uncanny silence. There was one lad in the street telling us that there were loads of people inside, trapped, but we couldn't hear anyone. There was no one screaming, there was no one yelling. Of the 93 people inside the club that night, only 6 managed to escape with their lives. Ironically, amongst them was Gonzalez's intended target, his ex-girlfriend Lydia Feliciano. Gonzalez, having watched the club burn, had then taken the boss home. He knocked on her neighbour's door, told her what he'd done, and then he went to bed in a semi-drunk stupor. When the police arrested him at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he was still in bed, fast asleep. When confronted, he readily admitted what he'd done, and he went with them without a fuss. The evidence against him was overwhelming. The gas-soaked clothes, his confession to the neighbour, eyewitness reports, and his own confession to the police. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to 2 counts of murder and arson for each victim. A total of 174 25-year sentences. This was the longest prison sentence ever handed down in the state of New York. At the time, his 87 victims made him the worst mass murderer in American history. And it was all for nothing. All those people died for no reason. To me, this remains one of the most senseless crimes that I've ever heard of. So much hurt and pain caused to so many people. Over what? The guy had a bruised ego? The guy was going through a bit of a rough patch? It just doesn't make any sense at all. Almost unbelievably, despite receiving the longest prison sentence in New York history, Gonzalez was eligible for parole in 2015. He did indeed apply for parole that year, but was turned down. He died in prison the following year from an apparent heart attack. He was 61, and he had lived to be much older than the vast majority of his victims of the Happyland massacre. A memorial stands today not far from the site of the tragedy, a reminder of the single, senseless act that took the lives of 87 young people who were just out to have a good time.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna pretty much leave anybody can like come up to the panel, speak their mind. Or I got the link on there, so if anybody want to speak, feel free. Yeah, but these stories are like really, really devastating to hear. Hey, what's up, Black Pill?
What's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on?
Not much, man. So tell me what your reactions are to these videos, or what even like what's your highlight of it?
I'm gonna start with the first topic, which man slanged his pregnant wife. These guys that's in marriage situations, if you feel frustrated in your marriage that I don't want to be married to this person anymore, you should just get a divorce and that's it. You shouldn't go to above and beyond to plan to kill your wife and ruin her life. Yeah, women will ruin your life, but you gotta say to your man, "That's okay. She trying to ruin my life. She trying to take my resources. Let me get a divorce and let me leave her alone."
Yeah, I agree. Like like to me, like he shouldn't really have no excuse or the control, like to like kill her, because if she want to give an abortion, like he's doomed already. Because if you want to like get a divorce, guess who's getting the money? And like getting an abortion, like you could like just not marry her if she have like the upper control of the marriage. I would just separate her from her if possible.
Yep, man. Yeah, social happy land massacre. It's a lot of crazy people out here, so they willing to do anything to take out anyone. That's why it's best to just arm yourself, protect yourself, because you never know, you know, when our time is up. But a guy killed 85 people, 80 some odd people,
87.
87 some odd people, and nobody
That's
couldn't take him
almost
out.
100 people though. That is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, and nobody couldn't take him out. Yeah, man, that was me. I do my best to take him out.
Yeah, and on top of that was, well, they did have security the way I hear it, and he was drunk and nobody didn't have like the nerve to stop him. And this was like in nighttime, like dark, and we're to a point where the street lamps are on, and I don't know like how fast he ran, or I don't know what his movements were, but surprisingly nobody didn't stop him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And the last topic I want to touch on is that the man gets deleted in Las Vegas by 304s. Of course, a lot of guys live in the hood because it's expensive, very expensive to live somewhere else. I mean, the guy can get his money up, but it's very, very expensive to live somewhere else. With that situation, I would probably best stay in my house most of the times and try to go somewhere where it's safe. But everywhere nowadays is dangerous, especially I would say my neighborhood. It calmed down a lot, but you still have like a lot of crime, a lot of killing. These guys with that hood crap and all that crap, which I don't be around. But a lot of guys out here that want to get away from the hood and these stupid people that still doing gang activity. Try your best to get your money up. Try your best to get another job if you have to.
Yeah, that actually correlates to the case of um Julio Gonzalez. Dude just like blacked it out. Even like his girlfriend, even though she looked it like a whale. And he just like he felt like he got into it. He was enslaved with his emotions basically. And like it didn't even like he just like didn't want to concentrate like getting another job and just moving on from like just moving forward. It's just that he wanted to like target the his then girlfriend and just kill a whole lot of people. Then it's insane. Then with the Las Vegas one, like he was about to be like a father. That was like messed up. Like he was now the kid's gonna be fatherless for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of guys make a big mistake getting with these ghetto women. Women in general, but of course, the black woman, the ghetto black woman all together. which they very annoying. They start trouble. They don't like the average black man that work a 9 to 5. Fact, they like Pookie and Ray Ray and Hector, Miguel more than the average black man trying to keep his head on his shoulders. I'll say before, average guys out of here, leave these women alone. They don't like us. They said it on social media. They said it on TikTok. They don't like us. They like the guy with the felony record. They like the guy that go out and start trouble. They like the guy that go up and beat up people. They like those type of guys. So if they like those type of guys, you got to say to yourself, this not the right woman for me. In fact, no right woman is for no man at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it's let these women just like go with the wrong man who does right, quote unquote, but he's turned out he's doing something wrong, and for that, like you know being like the bad boy is not what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like because bad boys don't or thugs don't really have good ethics at all. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you can't like do anything about it. Like as long as protect your peace as a black pill person. You know what I mean? Like you can't, as long as you don't do like immoral, as long as you're careful and feel safe. Don't trust any 304s. Like angry MGTOW be saying, like if they lie on the sidewalk crying or like feeling like desperate or just want to commit suicide, let them. I'm sorry to say that. Go ahead.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree. And these guys that's trying to be the bad boys, they paying the consequences. These women that date these mentally ill men or these bad boys, they paying the price. Like I said before, man, Twisted Crimes and these other YouTube channels, you see these women get offed, or you see less often now that these women are killing these men. But now in 2022, 2023, 2024, you seeing more men off these women. And it's their fault because they know what type of man they choosing. Yet that they don't care.
Indeed. Yeah, like women don't really know their boundaries when it comes to their safety. Once you see the belly piercing and the tattoos on them, you already know what they're about. Just because they let them live free. Let them live free. Like just for the worst. I won't say the better, but for the worst. Because they only filling up space. They're traffic jamming, man. Um, they're not really beneficial people to be around. They all they is just another person in the junkyard. That's all they are. They're just refurbished goods. Go ahead.
I mean, the only thing is left to say is that, well, let's just say that women don't want to be by themselves. Women can't live by themselves. They don't know how to be by themselves. Most women that say they want to be by themselves, they end up living with somebody. My aunt, for example, I would live by myself. She lived with my uncle. She lived with my mom. So she don't want to live by herself. Most women like drama. Most women like chaos. Most women like to be around noise. It is what it is. Beta male police.
What's up, Beta?
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Oh
Everybody hear
yeah,
me?
loud and clear.
I hear you.
All right. Hey man, salute to my MGTOW brothers, man. Salute to Blind Assassin, salute to Black Pill Daniels, salute to everybody in the chat. I just want to pull up on y'all boys for a little bit, man. I'm just reading the topic, man. What's you said man slayed his own pregnant wife. So happened this masculine man gets deleted. Yikes. What's going on over here? What's going on?
It's a couple old videos I went over. Well, I went through like the man who got slaughtered in Las Vegas. Not a good sight. Then it was like a couple of old cases in the 80s and 90s. Basically some beta male type stuff. That
Yeah.
so very like blue pill in a way.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that just shows you that when the camera's not on these people, on these couples, when these couples got to give you, when they got to sell you a product, when they got to pretend that they're happy, when those cameras turned off, you don't know what's going on in the household. You don't know what's going on between those two. When you're dealing with a woman 24/7, you got to deal with the things that they don't have to show you on camera. That's why I tell people, when you living free, when you live free, it's the easiest life. It makes your life easier. And also, I tell brothers to only use women for sex, because if you don't, you stick around too long, and you also will include the woman of being bipolar, being schizo, being crazy, delusional, right? Like what may have you. So that's why there's a lot of people that's deleting their wives, deleting their girlfriends, having these massacres, because technically they are not happy. They are only happy in public eye. They're not happy personally. They're not happy internally. You have to understand this. When you see these relationships, you see these marriages, they are miserable. All of them are, but they have to sell you a product. Like I said, you will never catch no married man telling nobody, hey man, go ahead, get married. It's the best thing that happened to me. And you know they are lying, because they got to keep it real. The only thing they're going to tell you, hey, stay away from this shit. Never do this. So this is the thing that you get from a lot of people. All these, slain wives and pregnant wives and girlfriends, because the woman is always going to be the abuser when it comes to verbiage. They start everything. They pick the fights with anybody, even a taller 6'5", 350-pound man. Oh, I wish you would hit me. And this chick is only like 120 pounds, and she's pushing, shoving, saying a lot of insults to this man, just to get him to think illogical. And once you think illogical, you are going to lose your freedom. This is why a lot of men are intoxicated on narcotics. They are in prison because they lost their freedom. That's why you should only use women for sex, and you should only live free, because all these women will gaslight you. They are narcissists. They are the verbal abuser. If you talk too long to women, they will use that weapon against you. They will use that against you, your weakness. If your mom passed away, guess what she's gonna do when y'all have a fight? Oh, that's why your mom passed away. And she's gonna make you illogical and make you emotional, so you can do some irrational shit to her. So that's all I want to say, man. But salute to the panel and salute to the chat, man.
Indeed. Hey Beta, before you go, just to give you a gist of the case, like
Yo.
what's even like made it even worse with the guy that slain his own pregnant wife, like you just said something similar. Like he was like the wife did like the upper hand. She was about to abort the baby. But technically the husband shot her in the head. And you know, when once he did that, he shot himself in the stomach, then had the absolute nerve saying it was a black person that did that. Can you can you
Man.
actually believe that? And the plot twist is he committed suicide. I was like rolling, bruh. Like for real.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I can stick around for a little bit, man. I'm just chilling. See, I mean, yeah, because he don't want to deal with those consequences. If you're gonna do it, hey, women will thrive you in that type of mental space where you know those consequences are going to hit you harder than anything than your actions. So what men do is they take out the woman and they take themselves out. They don't want to deal with prison. They don't want to deal with the consequences afterward. But what if these men were actually single? What if these men were just using them for sex? What if these men was taking care of themselves and be more productive so that way you don't have to rely on women to be a partnership or have a relationship, because all men need to be alone by themselves. They need to be building things. They need to be creating more power, more economics. This is a reason why black men are at the bottom as far as economics and far as power, because we're not creating things. We are just only trying to get women for free. We are trying to compete with each other, just like YouTube. Oh, I got it for free. Oh, you got to pay. Oh, you a trick. Only black man does this shit. Only the black community. That's why I don't deal with ninjas. I don't deal with them at all. I deal with men that want to improve and want to take care of themselves. This is what our channel is about. Is to just stay on monk mode or MGTOW, take care of yourself, and that's it. Fuck your family, your friends, your loved ones. They all gonna turn on you one day. You like, this is a lifestyle and a life choice, but when you live it, it's not gonna be easy, but it will become easier once you take care of this. You stop loaning your family money, stop loaning your friends money, stop trusting these women. If you are married right now, I keep telling people, go ahead and get a divorce. It's 2024. You are on the clock. The longer you wait, the more you pay. The longer you wait, the more you pay. Remember that. So I tell people, look at me crazy every time when I do videos. Oh man, baby police, man, your topics, your subjects be crazy, but it's the truth. The truth is going to be the uncomfortable thing. But I want to give people the truth. When you live by yourself, life becomes easier. But it's going to become more difficult when you got to live with a woman, when you got to trust a woman. And it only takes 6 to 15 seconds for you to do something crazy. And now your freedom is in jeopardy, man. Man, Blind and Science always tell you. Black Pill Dance always tell you. Batman Beyond always tell you. Old School 20 Car always tell you. Sigma always tell you. Hood Hobbies always tell you. Live free. Coach Kevin here. Live free. All right, that's the motto, man. Just make your life easier. That's it, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying in the video. Men don't know how to live fun by themselves, even to this day. They think having a wife and, having kids is all like, you know, beaches and sun and sand when it's like you said, behind closed doors. You have to like embrace, the pain, the gaslighting tactics, the dictatorship. Like when men are going to like stand up for themselves and like, cause it went down to me why the way I see it in relationships, I seen being blue pill to pink pill. That's the only way I see for men. I'm sorry, but you can't like just be on a pedestal. Now she's gonna treat you subhuman, and you're gonna feel subhuman. So it's gonna be like all your feelings, you know, be like more, less confident, more insecure, feeling like really feminine, taking up her own side, afraid to say no, being a yes man all the time. And, you know, doing like events like this will make you a slave into your emotions, and you're gonna feel like you more in the depths of hell compared to like where you are now before when you start growing up as a young teen to an adult, you know.
That's real, man. Hey, Black Pill Dangers, man. What up, man? Go ahead, man. You can talk, man.
Not much, not much. It's like I say before, these guys that get married and you feel that you want to off your wife, just get a divorce. You should never got married to her in the first place if you know it wasn't going to work out. Because, like you say before, man, the more you wait, the more you have to pay. Well, the more you wait, the more you have to suffer by her friends, by her family, by her co-workers, saying stuff behind your back, knowing you can't take it. You got to say to yourself, you know what? Let me go ahead and get a divorce. If her friends and family is gonna talk behind me behind my back, and I feel that I want to off her, let me make the right choice, get these divorce papers, and move on with life. Because being married too, you feel that you want to do physical harm to your wife, off her friends, off her co-workers, when you can just get out of this by just get out of her life overall. And when you get out of her life, you don't have to deal with her friends or co-workers, her such and such. So all that'll be over once you go on your way. That's it.
That's a fact, man. Definitely, man. Y'all always preaching, man. Both of y'all, man. I'm gonna say one more thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. Salute to both of y'all. But yeah, man. If you are in a relationship, if you are acquainted with a woman, if you are married, if don't wait, stop waiting. If you see one thing that you don't like, you see one thing that make you uncomfortable, go ahead and just walk away, man. Walk away, because the sooner the better. If you with this woman or you're married for 2 or 3 years, if you see one thing, get a divorce. Don't wait until 5 or 6 or 7 years and thinking this woman is going to change. The only thing that's going to change is you. A woman will always try to change you because she want that control. And it's not the pussy, it's a possibility of getting pussy. That's why women always have these barricades. They always have these stipulations. If you clean up, I'll give you some box. If you mop the floor, I'll give you some box. If you rake the leaves, it's the possibility of it. How long is a woman is going to keep dangling the same wrinkled pussy in front of you like a carrot, and you still doing the same shit, and you busting your ass, and you trying to get the same chick? That's why a lot of men cheat, because theoretically, humans in general shouldn't be with one person for the rest of their life. That is torture. That is hell. You should have fun. You should live your life. You should live free. You should take care of your hobbies, enjoy them. You shouldn't be doing that with one woman. If you see anything that's off, that don't try to change that woman, because more than likely you are going to lose your freedom by or your finances or your resources. Never let nobody change you, not women, not a man, not your family. You cut everybody off. You live for you. It's time for you to deserve what you've been dealing with for the past 20, 30, or 40 years, even 50. You a man in this world. This is our shit. This is our world. Don't let nobody take you out of your character, and don't let nobody try to alternate your life and your beliefs, because nobody will give a fuck about you other than MGTOW, and nobody will ever give a fuck about you but yourself. So you better stand on that shit and live that shit forever. I'm telling you, even when you are free in public, there's couples looking at you, wishing they was you because you so free. Never look at a couple like, oh man, I need a girlfriend, man. I want that. Man, I feel lonely. If you feel lonely as a man, you need to do more work internally, man. But salute to Black Pill Daniels, salute to Blind Assassin, and y'all hit the like button. Salute to the chat. I'm gonna holler at y'all Monday next week, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. Salute to my brothers, man. Peace out.
Hey, Beta.
Yo.
Before you go, I'm about to do a live stream. Well, I just told you on the phone about male therapists and stuff. So be on the lookout for sure. I'll definitely text you.
Okay, dope, man. I got you, man. I got you. Appreciate that, man.
Cool. All right, man.
All right, man. I'll take care, man. Salute to
Yep.
MGTOW. Peace out.
Peace.
Indeed. Yeah. You just gotta live free. You just gotta learn how to like have fun really by yourself. It's not even worth being in a relationship. It's not really that essential. That's what the media wants it to be. It's all a scam. It's all an act, and then it's all a facade. And you can't just rely on one person forever. Like Beta Male be saying, you just have to be determined, work on yourself, mentally and physically. Most definitely work on your mental health as well.
Yep, I agree, man. I agree. Can't even live with a male either. Can't even live with a man without him complaining or bringing women in and
bringing people over that destroy your stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here myself.
Yeah, I'm at the end of the stream too. Not to head somewhere. So, all right, then. Thanks for listening. And y'all guys take care and have a very safe and optimistic weekend.
All right, peace.
See ya.